After Mr. Lincoln has initially spoken, Mr. Douglas is giving his reply. Then we will hear Mr. Lincoln close the debates with his rebuttal. It's my pleasure now to introduce to you Senator Stephen Douglas.
My fellow citizens, my good friend, Mr. Lincoln, has addressed you with his usual artless sincerity, his pure homely charm, and his perennial native humor. He's devoted a generously large portion of his address to most amicable remarks upon my fine qualities as a man, if not as a statesman, for which I express deepest gratitude. However, at the same time, I most earnestly beg you not to be deceived by his seeming innocence, his carefully cultivated spirit of goodwill. For within each of his little harmonies lurk concealed weapons. Like Brutus in Shakespeare's immortal tragedy, Mr. Lincoln is an honorable man. But also like Brutus, he's adept at the art of inserting daggers between an opponent's ribs, just when said opponent least expects it. Behold me, ladies and gentlemen. I am covered with scars. Mr. Lincoln makes you laugh with his pungent anecdotes. He draws tears from your eyes with his dramatic pictures of the plight of the black slave labor in the South. Always he guides you skillfully to the threshold of truth. But then when you're about to cross it, he diverts your attention elsewhere. He never, by any mischance, makes reference to the condition of labor in the North. Perhaps he's ignorant of the fact that tens of thousands of workers are on strike, hungry men marching through the streets in ragged order, promoting riots because they are not paid enough to keep flesh upon the bones of their babies. What kind of liberty is this? And what kind of equality? Mr. Lincoln harps constantly on this subject of equality. He repeats over and over the arguments of Lovejoy and other abolitionists, to wit, that the Declaration of Independence, having declared all men free and equal by divine law, thus Negro equality is an inalienable right. Contrary to this stands the verdict in the Supreme Court case of Dred Scott. Mr. Lincoln is a lawyer, and therefore I presume that he knows that when he seeks to publicly destroy the integrity, the inviolability of the decisions of the Supreme Court, that he is preaching revolution. He has asked me to state my opinion as to the Dred Scott decision, and I answer him unequivocally by saying, I take the decisions of the Supreme Court to be the law of the land, and I intend to obey them as such. Nor will I be swayed from that position by all of the rantings of all of the fanatics who preach racial equality and who would ask us to vote, eat, sleep, and marry with Negroes. And I further say, let each state mind its own business and leave its neighbors alone. If we'll accept that principle, then Mr. Lincoln will find that this great nation can exist forever, divided into free and slave states. And we can go on, as we have done, increasing in wealth, in population, and in power, until we shall become the envy and the terror of the world.
I'm honored now to present to you Mr. Abraham Lincoln.
Judge Douglas pays me tribute for my skill with the dagger. I thank him for that, but I must admit that he is far more adept with that weapon than I am. He's so good at it, he can keep 10 daggers flashing in the air at the same time. Fortunately, none of them ever fall and hurt anyone. Now, you've heard the judge make allusion to those who advocate voting and eating and marrying and sleeping with Negroes. Now, whether he means me or not, I do not know. But if he does, I can only say, just because I would not have a colored woman for a slave does not necessarily mean I would have her for a wife. I do not need to have her for either. I can just leave her alone. In some respects, she certainly is not my equal, any more than I am the judge's equal in some respects. But in her natural right to eat the bread she earns with her own hands without asking leave of anyone else, she is my equal and the equal of all others. Now, you heard the judge make allusion to our current labor condition. As an American, I can say I'm not proud that such conditions exist, but also as an American, I can say, would any of the striking workers in the North elect to change places with the slaves in the South? Would they not rather say, the remedy is in our own hands? And still, as an American, I say, thank God we live under a system by which men have the right to strike. I am not preaching rebellion. I don't have to. This country with the institutions belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it, or their revolutionary right of dismembering or overthrowing it. As a nation, we began by declaring that all men are created equal. There was no mention of any exception to that rule in the Declaration of Independence. But now we practically read it, all men are created equal except Negroes. Now, if we are to accept this doctrine of race or class discrimination, what in future is to keep us from decreeing all men are created equal except Negroes, foreigners, Catholics, Jews, Edwards County senior citizens, or just poor people? That is a conclusion to which the advocates of slavery are driving. Why stir up trouble, says the judge. Let each state make up its own mind. This is a complacent policy towards indifference to evil, and that policy I cannot but hate. I hate it because of the monstrous injustice of slavery itself, because it denies our republic of its just influence in the world, enables the enemies of free institutions everywhere to taunt us as hypocrites, causes the real friends of freedom, well, thank you. I'll come into the 21st century. Causes the real friends of freedom to doubt our sincerity, and especially because it forces so many good people among us into an open war with the very fundamentals of civil liberty, denying the good faith of the Declaration of Independence and insisting that there is no right principle of action but self-interest. Now, in his final words tonight, the judge said that we can be the terror of the world. I don't think we want to be that. I think we would prefer to be the encouragement of the world. Proof that at last man is worthy to be free, but we shall surely be neither unless this country can establish its ability to learn and grow and live as a nation. And we shall surely do neither if these states fail to remain united. There can be no distinction in the definition of liberty as between one section and another, one class and another, one race and another. A house divided against itself cannot stand. This government cannot endure permanently, half slave and half free. It must become all one or all the other.
Okay, the election was a hard-fought campaign. Both